Hello and welcome into Rebecca K Crochet. I'm Becky, your yarn host, and today what we are going to do is the treble crochet. This will give you your stitches will kind of lean one way and then the other. A little bit more than double crochet do because it's a little bit taller stitch. I realized that I had not done an actual treble crochet square on my channel for a blanket, so this is what I wanted to show you how to do. What I am using in this one is Lion Brown Pound of Love. Got fuzzies on my Pound of Love. My cat has been loving on this and scratching all over this yarn. This is a 4 worsted weight yarn. It calls for a J10 6mm hook. It's 100% premium acrylic. You can wash and dry this yarn. It's made in Turkey. This color is Bluebell, and this is a 16-ounce pound skein, and it has 1,020 yards or 932 meters. I am using this one for this stitch, and then I am using 2 other colors, and you'll see those throughout the time whenever I switch colors. For the blanket that I'm getting ready to create, I am creating a different blanket than what I've been doing with my scrap yarn. I'm also using a Susan Bates J10 6mm hook. You will need a tape measure, a darning needle, and a pair of scissors. And if you want to follow along and do the blanket I'm going to try to do, it's going to be roughly 59 inches wide by 75 inches tall, and you're going to need 3 different colors. I'm actually going to be using 4 different colors, and it doesn't matter how you get those different colors, but you're going to need, let me look here and see, I'll tell you. 2, 3, 4, roughly 5,500 yards of yarn. So give or take. And I will show you how to do these squares a little bit differently. I am going to assemble the afghan as I go so that it's all done. So you will see me, when I make the next square, you will see me work on this square and the next one at the end of that. At the end of next week's video, you'll see me adding the 2 together, and I will do that from here on out and add the actual squares together with the white. So with that being said, like, subscribe so you don't miss this crochet along if you want to do it. It is a stitch sampler. I'm still doing the stitches of the week, but I'm doing it for a specific blanket and a specific purpose. This is going to be more like a vintage feel. This afghan, my afghan, is going to be more like a vintage feel. You can do it for Christmas, you can do it for the fall, you can do it however. You can pick up all the squares that we've done, and I show you how to create bigger squares and make them bigger and all fit together. You know, you can put the granny squares in here, you can do whatever you want to. So you could actually go and take all of the granny squares and all of the stitches that I've done so far, and you can make your own blanket with the stitches of the week and the granny squares, and just mix and match and pick out whatever you want. But going forward, I'm going to be using 2 colors of blue, this one and a darker one, and a pink color, and I'm going to attach them with the white. So that's my plan. So let's get started. Okay, to start this treble crochet square, what we're going to do is we're going to chain 28. And you want to do that loosely. So if you're a beginner and you crochet tight, you can go up a hook size to start. So I'm using the 6 millimeter, it's US J10. So you could go up to this one, which is a 6.5, and then switch back down to this one. And I'll be back whenever I get my 28 chains done. So now what we're going to do is we are going to skip back to the 5th chain from our hook. This one doesn't count. So we're going to go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to yarn over twice. So you should have 3 on your hook. You're going to put in that 5th stitch. Make sure I'm doing it right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that 5th stitch, we need to yarn over and bring up a loop. Now the one thing that you want to make sure when you do trebles is you keep your finger on top of all of your loops so you don't get any extra space in there. And you will be pushing your loops forwards and backwards with your first finger like this. So if your loops do not slide on your hook, you need to loosen them up and let them slide on your hook. And you're going to yarn over, you're going to pull through 2, pushing these forward, yarn over, pull through 2, pushing them forward, and yarn over and pull through 2. And that is your first treble crochet. And we are going to do a treble crochet in each stitch across. So that's yarn over twice, we've already worked into this stitch, so we're going to work into this one, keeping our finger on these 3 stitches right here. If you need to put your thumb on there to do it, you can. If you need to put your finger on there, you can. I don't like my thumb on there, but you can do it that way. So I've seen people do it. However you need to keep these stitches tight is what you need to do. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, wrap it around twice, go through, yarn over, pull up a loop. You should have 4 on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. At the very end, I like to pinch this back one, it'll be this one the next time. You'll see me pinch up here to keep this from getting bigger. I don't want, and you don't want this space right here, this part, to get any bigger than a natural hook. The natural loop. Otherwise, if you don't do it and you just let it go, I'll show you what it looks like. If I can do it. I don't normally see how that one elongated. See how it's so much different if you pull them apart. This one's longer. So this one is longer through here than these are. That's why you hold up here and you hold your loops. Like this stitch stretched out, so you don't want to do that. If you have to wrap your yarn around twice around your finger, there's also doing this, you can also, if you need to keep it tighter, there are rings that you can use. This is a crochet ring. When my finger gets tired and worn out here, I put this on. I put my yarn through it like so. I wrap it around my finger. I'll show you how I do it. Put my ring on, put that down at the bottom. I wrap it around my finger, put it down through there, and that's how I hold it when I need it to be tighter. And that way, if you need it to be snugger, you just pull it up and it goes through the neck of that peacock. Then you can hold it tight or loose down here on the back side when you wrap it around. I don't need to use it right now. My fingers aren't tired, but there are certain things that you can use to make things tighter, looser, that kind of thing. If you have to pinch it between those two fingers, whatever you need to do, wrap it twice. I just find that holding it on my hook with my first finger works really well. Poke it through, bring it up. I have taught a treble crochet before on the channel, but if you didn't do the cardigan, you did not see the treble crochets. So I wanted to do a block of treble crochets because this stitch is used quite a bit. And we're going to go all the way across. Whenever we finish, we should have 25 treble crochets, if my math is correct. Now there's something a little bit different that I'm going to be doing. We're going to build on stitches. We're going to start building on our crochet stitches in the next few weeks. And then I am going to start, when I get a few of these done, we are going to start putting them together. I have a blanket planned with these stitches, different than what I've been doing with those other ones. The other ones that I've been doing are as a scrap blanket. This one is an actual, almost like a vintage style blanket. It's going to be more of a all the same color blanket, pretty much. Not the same color, the same 3 or 4 colors. So if you want to do this with me, I will tell you how much yardage I think you're going to need to do a blanket like I'm doing, with the stitch pattern and how big the squares should be. And we'll go over that at the end of the video. Or I may do it at the beginning of the video and splice it in. So this is what your treble crochet should look like. They should have this big hole in them. And what we're going to do is we're going to chain 4 to get us up to the height of our next stitch. We are going to actually hold on just a second. I needed to find a stitch marker. We are going to put a stitch marker in any of these stitches, like so, around a stitch. And what that is going to do is that is going to tell us that this is the front part of our work. So you need to make sure you can wrap, if you don't have a stitch marker, you can wrap yarn around, and so just so that you know that this is the front part of your work. This is the front side. A lot of beginners can't distinguish the front from the back, and that's an easy way to do it. So now we're going to turn and see that stitch markers on the back, which is our front that we're working on the back now. And we're going to treble crochet, and not this first stitch right here, not this one, but the next one, because that first treble, that chain 4 counts as our first treble. And if you notice, I don't take my finger off of those stitches unless I'm moving it backwards. and we're just going to treble in each stitch across. And this is how you do the treble crochet. Now our square should measure approximately, roughly 7 inches across this way, and whenever we get done at tall, and we will measure that whenever we get to the end, and I will show you how much it measures. And I am going to, this is all there is to a treble crochet, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this off camera, this square, and whenever you start your next stitch, if you have to, the one thing I want to tell you is if you need to and you can't tell where the top of your next stitch is, like this should be a chain 4 at the top of your chain 4, the end of this one and over here. If you can't tell where that chain 4 is or the beginning of your row is, you can always put a stitch marker in each end of your row so that you know when you work back that you go into that last stitch, so you don't have to count. That is something that a lot of beginners, until you figure out how to look at your stitches and the definition of your stitches, until you figure that out and where the top of the chain is, that's one of the worst things for a beginner crocheter to do. And then you have those zigzaggy edges and you have to figure out why is it doing what, you know, in here and out here. And I don't have, you know, I don't have my 25 stitches, I have 27 or 28 stitches. It's because of your end stitch usually. Not usually that you add one in between, it can be, but normally it's the end of your row that you get caught up on. So if you need to, pop a stitch marker in at the end of your row. This yarn sure is splitting today. Okay, now this is my last stitch. It should be. And that's, see how I'm straight? That's what we look like. Then we will chain 4, work back this way. We leave this on here. We don't mess with our stitch marker. We're going to chain 4, work back this way, chain 4, and we just repeat this second row up and down all the way across. And I will meet you back here at the very end whenever I get my 7 inches done. Okay, 24, and then we're going to work into this last stitch right here. I can open it up, and that is 25, not double, treble. So make sure that you count your stitches in every row. I did not, and I missed a stitch. I went back and counted and I missed a stitch. See how I opened that one up? Because I wasn't holding my stitches. Okay, now that's what you should look like. So now we're going to chain 4. Pop a stitch marker if you need to. I don't think I have another stitch marker. I don't. If you need to, pop another stitch marker into this stitch right here, just right through that one, and that's the one you work back into so you don't miss it. Then you turn your work and you do your treble crochets down into the next one. And with treble crochets, it's very, very easy to miss stitches. So make sure you count and you have 25 stitches across. Okay, so now we are going to do our last treble crochet. We should have 25 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. When we flip this over sideways like so, this is how I like to make sure that my items are square, or as close to square as we can get. It comes out into a triangle on both sides, which it does. And we finished on the front side because my stitch marker is here. So this is what your treble crochet should look like. And you make one of these, and we're going to start a different. You can still do this with your other squares that we've done. If you want to go back and add on those other squares, which I will do other squares also in this. I'm just going to work with the 3 colors that I show you at the beginning, and I'm going to tie it all together with white. I'm making this for a specific project, so I've started a different project. So I'm not going to be using scrap yarn for a little while. So that being said, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and I will see you on the next one.